DUPR.
DUPR.
DUPR algorithm.
DUPR algorithm.
DUPR's algorithm.
DUPR algorithm. DUPR algorithm.
What algorithm means is it's just like kind of a machine kind of like takes something in and spits something out in a consistent way. And so that's what we're doing with every player. One thing that's really unique is that we have all of our players on the same algorithm. So whether you're a 3-5 person who just plays at your club, or you're a 4-0 tournament player, or you're Annalie Waters, one of the best players, the best player in the world, you're all on the same algorithm. It's this fine line of making it transparent, but also a little bit of a black box, right? We can't show all of our secret sauce. But yeah, probably around like 1,000 lines of code. Although it's simple, because we have everyone on that same scale and on the same algorithm, we kind of have to account for as many edge cases as possible. So yeah, it's more complex than people think. We don't have an eye on the court, so we kind of have to assume some things. It's a really fun problem to work on for our team. The way our algorithm works is a match comes in and your rating updates. So it's instantaneous, which is pretty cool. It's one of the most loved things, I think, about the DUPR algorithm is that you're at a tournament, and especially I love matches that come from pickleballtournaments.com because they come immediately and then you can see your rating update. And it's really fun. It's fun to walk around tournaments and see people like seeing how their rating's going to update instantaneously. Your rating's going to update after every match. And the way that it updates, that's what's kind of changed. So your rating every match, let's talk doubles. It's going to have 4 players. Let's say everyone is rated. And so there's team A and they have some combined rating, and there's team B and they have another combined rating. We look at those ratings. Let's say this team is like on average a 3-0 and this team is on average a 3-2-5. We look at that and we say, okay, the 3-2-5 should win, but not only should they win, we expect the score to be X. Okay, so we have this expectation based on what the ratings are between the players, and then it's kind of up to each team to either prove that they are right around where they thought they were. So that means the score ends up being very close to the expectation. Or if one team, let's say the 3-0 team, they don't win, but they get really close. Let's say they lose 11-9. So they've proved that they are actually closer to that 3-2-5 team than what we thought before. And so we're going to move those ratings closer. Same thing for that 3-2-5 team. We actually learned that they're closer together to that 3-0 team. So we're going to move them down a little bit. And so that's the change. Whereas before, every time you won, you moved up, and every time you lost, you moved down. But now we're kind of just going a little bit more granular. We're able to fully use the data and move players based on the score of every match. Because we are instantaneous, that means that it takes the matches in and it spits it out, and then it takes the next match, and then it takes the next match, right? If we were instantaneous, then we could actually like take all the matches and do them more like all at once. But it's worth it to have this instantaneous feature where people can follow and see what's going on. And so what happens is I kind of like to think about them as Legos, right? You're building these Legos up to your rating. And while it could matter ever so slightly, the order that you're putting them in, kind of maybe like to the 100th place or to the 1000th place, like technically, could it be different based on how you stack these Legos? Yes. But is that a meaningful amount? No. Our goal is to put you around the right level. Okay. So we show 3 decimal places, which is a lot. But it's not because we're trying to be that precise. I don't think there's a difference between a 3884 and a 3888 or whatever that is, or even a 343, right? You guys are all around a 3.5, to be honest, right? Like we kind of group things in 0.5s in pickleball. So our goal is to try to put everyone around the correct level. And therefore, no matter the order that we stack your Legos, we're going to get you to the right level. Your rating is still your main thing, but the reliability is kind of like a description of like how reliable is your rating based on how recent are your matches and how many different partners do you have and things like that. And so The reliability score itself actually does not go directly into the algorithm. I think a lot of people think that it does. It does not quite go directly into the algorithm, but the same thing goes into both the rating and the reliability. And that's just like, how many matches do you have and how recent are those? Every match that you play has what we call a weight, okay? And we calculate that weight based on different factors. Did a tournament upload this match, or did a player upload this match? Also, was it a best 2 out of 3, or was it one game? And then also, was it played today, or was it played 90 days ago or 1 year ago? And so, you guys can kind of all probably figure out like which types of matches are going to have the most weight, right? A match played today, uploaded by a tournament director, and like a 2 out of 3 or even a 3 out of 5, that's going to impact your rating the most. So then what happens over time, every single day, the weight of the match decays. Okay? So it becomes kind of less important every day. We take all of your matches, all of the weight, and we add them up. And so every player is the sum of each of their matches. Okay? So now let's say a new match comes in and it has its own weight. And then I have my overall weight of all my matches. What I'm going to look at, or what the algorithm is going to look at, is kind of like what percentage or what ratio of your overall weight is this new match. And that is how much we're going to move your rating for this one match. Is generally speaking, higher reliability players are going to move less. Okay, so even though it's not directly related, it's pretty correlated. And so if a person has a high reliability score, they can expect they're more stable, right? We're not learning too much from every single match, but a person with a lower reliability score, we're able to get a lot of new information from every match. And so we're going to move them accordingly. So we have a 4-3 and a 4-7. So they are on average a 4-5 team. We're going to come up with the expected score just based on the average of their team and the other team. And then their team either overperforms or underperforms those expectations. If their team overperforms, both partners are going to go up. If they underperform, both partners are going to go down. So no matter what, both partners are going to move the same directionally, but the amount is not going to always be the same. That amount is not dependent on the rating itself, but it's dependent on that weight that we were talking about before, which is it's really dependent on how many matches does each of those partners have and how recent are those matches.
Yeah, so several things. I think there's a misnomer in pickleball that just because the longer you play, you're automatically getting better, right? Like we all have personal caps, so we're only going to get to be so high, so good. It's not just going to be this upward swing forever. Like we're all going to cap out somewhere. Number 2 is simply become a better pickleball player. And that means go get better, be better, and then go find DUPR events, whether it's through tournaments or leagues or other programming, and actually show DUPR that you are better. Well, how much data have you given DUPR so that it knows you're a 3.9 and not a 3.4? You've got to play in competitive events that reports to DUPR so that DUPR can have that data on you so that it can respond properly. If you go get better for 6 months, but don't do anything or play in anything that actually reports to DUPR, how would DUPR know you've gotten better the last 6 months? A lot of times it's really just a lack of data, right? A lack of match history that DUPR doesn't have on you to represent that.
In the previous algorithm, that was more in a way rewarding wins and punishing losses. People got inflated or people got underrated, right? Based on that algorithm. And so now kind of entering this new era, there are some people that we know are underrated or overrated, or a lot of people are correctly rated, to be honest. Like people who have been playing at their level, I think playing at your level means you're winning 50% of the time. You step out on the court and you feel like you can win or you could lose. I think that a lot of people right now are kind of like obsessing over this idea of playing up to like steal DUPR points or like get DUPR points. That's actually only going to happen if you are either 1, underrated, and 2, consistently performing at that higher level, right? You might have a couple matches where you do overperform the expectation as the underdog, right? You're also going to have some times where you don't do that, and that can, that'll just keep you at your level. people want to avoid the feeling that comes from their rating going down when they win, right? If they play up, then they can go up with a win and they can go up with a loss potentially. They could also go down with a loss, but they're kind of like removing that category that they might go down with a win. It's more of like a security type thing with their rating. We have 8 million matches of all time. With all of those matches, we look back at them and we say, okay, what is the typical result when a 3-5 is playing a 3-0? Or when a 3-5 is playing a 3-2-5? What's the typical result? 50% are above and 50% are below. And so if you truly are consistently overperforming that expectation, that means you are better, right? But you shouldn't, just because you're the lower rated player, does not mean that you should expect to go in and always go up, because half the time you're going to go up and half the time you're going to go down. While somebody very well could have similar abilities between singles and doubles, they also just as likely could not. The two ratings do not talk to each other in any way. Our sport is pretty doubles heavy. There is singles, but actually like 90% of our data is doubles matches. So it's pretty doubles heavy. And I think most people probably play 90% doubles, if not more than that. Anyone who plays doubles and singles know that they're very different. So they're completely separate from an algorithm perspective. DUPR ratings are your typical day, right? So you have all of these results over all time, and it's going to kind of listen more or care more about your most recent results. But it's just an average of all of your days, your best days, your worst days, your typical days. Okay, so we're all kind of like this like little curve, right? On our average day, we're here. But one day I was really, really good on this one day. I was playing like a 6-0. I also had a day where I was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm playing like a 3-0 right now. I can't even hit the ball over the net. Typical is going to be right in the middle of those. And that's what DUPR is trying to describe. We are trying to be a predictive algorithm, and therefore we're going to predict that you're going to perform like your typical self on any given day. So while some players, let's say around a 4-0, it is very, very common for a 4-0 player to sometimes perform like a 4-5, right? That's just one level apart. Like that's absolutely a possibility. That doesn't necessarily mean that after playing at a 4-5 level once or twice that your rating should jump up to that 4-5. Are we going to move it closer? Absolutely. That's what we learned from the match, is that you were better than what we thought, and therefore we're going to move you accordingly. But it does take that consistent performance at the 4-5 level to get you there. If you are at that 4-0 level and you think you are a 4-5, okay, so what do I mean by that? Like, are you a 4-5? I kind of go back to, are you kind of equally winning and losing at the 4-5 level? If not, then you're probably somewhere in between. If you're only winning maybe 25% of the games, then you're somewhere between 4-0 and 4-5. But once you kind of get up to that place of like, okay, I'm truly competing, I'm winning 50% of my matches at this level, I should be expecting my DUPR to get there. You know, it's not going to jump immediately, right? You do kind of have to trust the process. It's not going to happen in one tournament, especially if you're a very active player, right? Again, we're looking at all of your results. So just because you show something from one tournament, you know, we need to consider your past history as well. So that kind of like stabilization. There's also the people like I described earlier who probably are a little bit underrated, right? That 4-0 who is already competing at the 4-5 level. They're going to move quicker, right? And it just kind of is going to depend on like their history and how reliable they are about how quickly that's going to happen. But it is going to happen every time that they overperform, which is going to be quite a bit, right? If they're a 4-0 playing at the 4-5 level and they're doing well, then they're going to be overperforming more often than they're underperforming, and their rating is going to drift up over time. This one has been shared at least in some places already, but the answer is yes. So we are working on that, basically exactly what you described, of kind of this expected score tool. Pretty similar to like this notion of like a golf handicap, right? It kind of evens the playing field, and everyone's kind of playing for something. Everyone's playing for the chance to improve their DUPR. Everyone should continue to play pickleball in the way that's like healthy for them. And some people that might be, you're very analytical. You want to know exactly what you're supposed to do when you go out there. And that's not necessarily going to put pressure on you. It's just more information for you while you're going out there. Perfect. Use the tool. If you're the type of person where you look at it and you're like, oh no, now if I, instead of letting up 6 points, I let up 7 points, I'm going to go down, and now you're tight the whole match, then maybe just let it be and go out there and play and just kind of trust your play. And so we're going to provide the tool because we want to provide what the players want, but we also still want players to all still operate kind of in the way that they do best.